Hi, I'm Courtney, and this is Potter. We're also known as Spotty Tales on all of the bookish social medias, and this is our intro to Booktube. Well, Potter decided to leave me because he was tired of trying to sit in my lap on this little bitty stool. But like I said, my name's Courtney. I'm in my late 20s. I live in a small town in North Carolina. Reading has been a lifelong passion for me. I have a degree in English literature as well as a master's of education with a focus in English, but I no longer work in that field. I do something completely unrelated now. You can find me on the other kind of social medias as Spotty Tales, SPOTTY_TALES, like tails, like book tails, not dog tails. And yeah, so I just figured I would give Booktube a try. So here is my Booktube Newbie Tag. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? For me, I don't really have any bookish people in my life that I can share my love of books with, so I do it on the social medias. I constantly found myself watching Booktube videos, so I was like, why not? I would love to put myself out there and my thoughts on books and things like that, so that's pretty much where I decided to start the channel. The next question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? So I read a vast majority of fiction. I go from YA to new adult fantasy to thrillers to fantasy in general, romance, and literally everything in between. I'm a big time mood reader, and just what I'm in the mood for is what I'm going to read at that time. So I read a lot of different things. And my background in English literature kind of gives me a unique perspective on things because I do have a love for the classics. I've studied the classics in depth, and I just think it kind of gives me a unique perspective on things. Also, I read on multiple platforms. I use audiobooks, Kindle, and physical books. As you can see behind me, I have multiple bookshelves in my house. I use library books, my library's digital library catalog. Basically, if I can legally get my hands on it, I'm going to read it and use it in some way, shape, or form. So that's something that I would love to share. Question number 4 is, why do you love reading? For me, it's an escape. That's why I like reading fiction. It's a way that I can step outside of my life and get into the head of someone else and just kind of leave my problems behind for a while and escape into this whole new world. The next question is, what are you most excited for this new channel? And for me, it's probably making new bookish friends through Book Talk and Bookstagram and some Discord channels and stuff. I've made some really good friends in the book community and people that I love to share my experiences with and hear their experiences and opinions. And I'm just excited to expand that and meet more bookish people. Also looking forward to trying a bunch of challenges. I love watching the challenge videos like the 24-hour readathons and things like that, so I cannot wait to try some of those. The next question is, what book or series really got you into reading? And that's kind of a loaded question for me because I've been a big reader most of my life. I was a 90s baby, so I was all into the Harry Potter books. As you can tell, my dog is named Potter. I also have a dog named Luna, a cat named Griffin. So yeah, we definitely loved the Harry Potter books in this household. It was a big part of my childhood. Later on in like my middle teen years, I was definitely into Twilight. I know it's a rite of passage at this point. I think I was like 15 or so when the first movie came out, and I remember going to all the premieres and just binge reading the books, and that was like my whole life at that point. And then after that, I fell into the kind of like vampire-y books where I discovered Vampire Academy, which to this day is still one of my favorite series. Throughout college and grad school, I didn't read too much newer fiction or anything like that on my own because I had to read so much for school, so I was really into the classics. But after grad school and stuff, I kind of got into a bunch of different audiobooks. And then when the pandemic hit, I discovered Book Talk on TikTok, and I think I started out with the Shatter Me series that's right behind me, and then rolled into ACOTAR, and then it just went downhill from there, and I've basically like read everything. Well, not really, but I've definitely tried. And right now my biggest obsession is thrillers. Like I am so obsessed with thriller books right now, specifically domestic thrillers, but if they're spooky and have twisty endings, I will love it. Question number 6 is, what question would you like to ask your favorite booktubers? And for me, that question would be, how do you keep creating content fun? Like balancing having a job and a life and reading and then creating content. How do you keep it fun and not feeling like a job? Like I can see where it could be very daunting to create new content and things like that where it's not fun anymore. And I'm doing this for it to be fun. So I just kind of would like to know how they keep things interesting and keep things fun. Question number 7 is, what challenges do you think creating a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? And for me, it's going to be finding a balance between my job, and I teach horseback riding lessons, and of course I read all the time and have to be a functioning adult. And I know I'd much rather do this than things like clean my house or grocery shop or meal prep. So I think the hardest thing for me is just finding the balance between the two of, this is my book life and this is my functioning adult life. Question number 8 is, when did you start reading? And honestly, I really can't answer that question because I've been a lifetime reader. I remember when I was a kid, my parents used to ground me for my books because, like, if I'd get in trouble or something, they would take away my toys, my TV, and things like that. And I really didn't give a crap because I would just pick up a book and read. So they would ground me for my books, which in retrospect, probably not the best parenting decision in the world. But yeah, so I've been a reader for as long as I can remember. Question number 9 is, where do you read? And I read anywhere and everywhere. I read a lot. I read very quickly. I don't watch a lot of TV or movies or anything like that. Basically, any kind of downtime I have, I'm reading. I do have the luxury of working from home. So if I take any kind of breaks or take a lunch break, I typically pick up a book versus trying to scroll on my phone or something like that. So I read a lot throughout the day at my desk. If I take a lunch that day and the weather's nice, I put a hammock up in the backyard and I read. My husband and I are big campers. Anytime we go camping, I take books and I read. If I'm waiting in line at Starbucks, I have my Kindle with me and I'm reading. And I also always have an audiobook going. I do a lot of crafting. And if I'm riding my horse or crafting or cooking or cleaning or just doing something that I physically cannot have a book in my hands, then I have my AirPods in and I'm listening to an audiobook. So basically, any free second in my life, I try to immerse myself in reading. So I read literally anywhere and everywhere. I do not leave my house without some type of book. And question number 10 is, what kind of books do you like to read? And that's kind of a loaded question because I read pretty much anything that interests me at the time. I'm definitely a mood reader. I take different types of reading in phases. I love the classics. They'll always have a special place in my heart, but I don't speed read through those as much. It's more of a, I want to sit down and think about this kind of read. Whereas typically when I'm reading more for leisure. So I tend to gravitate towards new adult fantasy. I definitely love my new adult fantasy. YA books. I like YA standalones a little bit more than like longer YA series. I do get Fairy Loot right now. I used to get Owl Crate as well, but right now I'm just getting Fairy Loot. And most of the time I love the books that come in those. Like I said before, my biggest obsession right now is thrillers. I think this whole shelf right here are thriller books. And I don't know if it's just because it's currently the end of September and October's coming up and it's fall and spooky season. So I don't know if that's what's got me into the thrillers, but I love a good romance. But yeah, basically just depends on what I'm in the mood for. So thank you for sticking with me through all of my rambling. I'm sure this is not the most amazing video that you've ever seen. It is definitely going to be a learning process for me, but I'm excited to make new friends and to explore some bookish things and do some challenges and to hopefully get better at making these video things because I'm pretty sure this one's going to be pretty bad. But yeah, so I can't wait to meet everybody. Probably the next thing we're going to do is going to be a 24-hour readathon challenge, so be on the lookout for that. But for now, that's all.